And this is a Fox News alert now. Yesterday, U.S. Attorney General Eric Holder visited the embattled city of Ferguson, Missouri, where he encountered Highway Patrol Captain Ron Johnson, who has been put in charge of policing the protesters outside the St. Louis suburb. Let's take a look.
My man.
Yes, sir. How you doing, sir?
You are the man.
Yeah, we're trying to make it back. We're trying to make it back.
We'll keep up the good work.
All right.
Get a little bit of rest.
I will.
All right?
I will.
I'm gonna check with your wife to see if you're, in fact, if you're doing that.
She's keeping me in check.
I'll be checking on you, man.
She's a real boss.
All right.
Thank you very much.
Right. Good to see you, Captain.
Thank you.
Now, Holder's visit yesterday was not all smiles as he stirred up some strife during remarks that he made at a meeting of members of the Ferguson community when he reportedly said he understood the mistrust of police officers and that, quote, "I am the Attorney General of the United States, but I'm also a black man." Joining us now, former LAPD Detective Mark Fuhrman. Mark, he said that, and he also has a history of past rhetoric involving race. Let me play that for you as well.
As it stands, our society is not yet colorblind, nor should it be, given the disparities that still afflict and divide us. We must be color brave and must never forget that all are made better and more prosperous if all are given equal opportunities.
I can't look into people's hearts, look into people's minds, but it seems to me that this president has been treated differently than others. There's a certain racial component to this for some people. I don't think this is the thing, there's a main driver, but for some, there's a racial animus.
Though this nation has proudly thought of itself as a ethnic melting pot, in things racial, we have always been, and we, I believe, continue to be, in too many ways, essentially a nation of cowards.
Nation of cowards. I come here not just as Attorney General, but as a black man. It seems to me that more than anything, instead of doing just his job to get to the truth, he wants to use this as an opportunity to sermonize on his views on race, which I think is, you know, chief law enforcement officer is inappropriate. What's your reaction?
Well, I couldn't argue with you, Sean, that's for sure. And I think probably of any person that is in a political position in the United States government, the one person that shouldn't bring any personal opinions, biases, prejudice, or desires to change society would be the Attorney General of the United States. He has to make decisions that that might cross racial lines, might cross, you know, other barriers that he might have personal opinions, but he might have to actually do the hard job of prosecuting or not prosecuting people that he might otherwise want to.
Let me ask you about Spike Lee, because there's been so many irresponsible comments. He made a couple of comments that there is an orchestrated war on black males, and then he said he hopes things blow up after the verdict comes out in this particular case. Let me play these for you and get your reaction and what it means for officers on the ground when public figures say things like this.
Something smells bad in Ferguson is not just tear gas. For example, when the police finally say who this officer is, the same day they release this videotape. All of a sudden, this mysterious woman, Josie, who knows who the hell she is she reading the script, and all of a sudden, everybody's taking her words, which really a third-person witness, as gospel.
Do you believe all that is orchestrated? I mean,
yes.
A lot of people said, look, there's no coincidence that on Friday, when you know, they released the officer's name, they released that tape.
Anderson, there's a playbook. I just think there's a war on the black male, and it's tearing the country apart. When people get to a point and they get to that tipping point, they can't take it anymore. And I'm not saying that people should burn down stuff, riot and loot. And I don't even want to use the word riot. I'm going to use the word uprising. But this is not the first time we're seeing this. And I just hope that things will really blow up if the people aren't happy with the verdict of this upcoming trial.
A war on the black male, and I just really hope that things will really blow up if people aren't happy with the verdict. Wow. Your reaction?
Well, you know, Sean, Spike Lee, what does he do? He makes films. I mean, really, how important is his opinion to begin with? But when you listen to him, he's almost borderline inciting a riot with his position in the media And then you kind of wonder, who is he speaking for? I think that you could go to any community in the United States and talk to any race of person, and then you ask, who is stopped by the police? Well, the people that are walking around at 3 in the morning in a residential community that they don't live in, people that are walking into a liquor store with a firearm, people that are robbing a liquor store, people that are stealing a car. You have this dynamic that people don't understand, that people cause themselves to be focused on by the officer in his presence. It is not by chance. And I think by and large, officers are looking for conduct and descriptions of people that fit the crime in their area. If you want them to not do that, that is very easy. Just stop doing police work.
Let me ask you this question, because I wonder if we need to equip our officers better. Now, for example, I'm going to show the video. There was a shooting just a couple of days ago of a man with a knife, wielding a knife in St. Louis. I watched this video over and over again, and he was shot by 2 St. Louis officers. Let me roll this tape.
He got his gun out. Oh. They got their guns out.
All right, we didn't show the end of this, but there are 2 things that I thought watching this. He did have a knife, but he was still about 5 feet away from the officers. Apparently, he said, shoot me, shoot me, shoot me. I'm wondering 2 things. Should we use those little GoPro cameras that they're easy to put on the lapel of a police officer, record every encounter, number 1, and is there any other equipment? Because police now basically have one option, a firearm, to stop somebody. In the case of this crazy guy with a knife, maybe there was something else that they could use that would have stopped him, short of, having to use a weapon. Is that something we need to look at?
Well, I think it's been looked at for probably 30 or 40 years, Sean. I'm going to give you an example. A man with a knife. It's a pretty common occurrence in America, probably across the world. But there's a thing called the 21-foot rule. If a man with a knife is standing 21 feet from you and you have your firearm out and he charges you at full speed, he will reach you by the time you fire your weapon, and he will probably actually injure you in some way or kill you with that knife before he dies if you did accurately shoot your weapon. That's the 21-foot rule. In that video right there, that suspect, let's just say, just for an argument, he's 10 feet away.
Now, he's about 4 or 5 feet.
Okay.
But, yeah.
So he is 1/4 away from the 21-foot rule, and he's moving towards a passenger officer. They had no choice, and you can't use rubber bullets, nets, tasers, or anything else because it's not going to stop the action.
Yeah, you got to hope that may be an alternative. In that case, I think that man was obviously disturbed in some way. But I agree with you. I mean, that could happen in a flash of an instant. They begged him to put it down. Over and over again, they asked him to put it down. All right, Mark, thank you. Appreciate it.